So let me just see. Looking around here, I think it's pretty obvious not all of you are related to me. Like, some of you are actually good looking. Like, this couple right here, security, please exit. You don't belong here. You're not related. So, congratulations to AJ Jacobs, by the way. I called him up 2 days ago. I know everybody's doing that, but I knew what he was going through because this is not like writing a book, this is like running a business. So I called him up 2 days ago and I said, how are you doing? And he said, I don't know if AJ wants me to say this, but who cares about him? AJ said, I'm having the worst week of my life. And I said, I know, because it's not like writing a book, it's like running a business, but it's gonna happen, and it's gonna be great, and it was, and it is, and you're gonna get through it. And so I played my little role. But then I'm thinking to myself, AJ Jacobs, like, how Jewy a name can you get? Seriously. I could say that because I'm Jewish, by the way. Any other Jews here? So my wife, Claudia, where are you? Claudia? So my wife, Claudia, and I recently went to our homeland. We came back from Fort Lauderdale. A lot of Jews there. You know, when we're born, we don't get to choose our family. Like, we're kind of born into this, we come into this world and we're slapped around a little bit, and then we're told who our family is, and then for the next, as my daughters can easily attest, for the next 18 years or maybe longer, someone is constantly telling them what to do and making all of their choices for them. And sometimes those choices, they might not be correct. So at some point you have to decide, okay, am I going to just blindly listen because they're family? It's like this magical word, like Moses said, you know, you gotta listen to them. But it's not always true. So I remember, this is literally like my first memory in life. Like literally before this moment, like I was about 3 years old, 4 years old, and at any time before this moment, my parents could have just decided, let's just abort him, like let's cancel this one. And I would not have remembered. But I remember one day, I was shaken up really early, come on, you gotta get dressed, you gotta go. And I'm like, where am I going? I remember this. And it's like, you're gonna start nursery school, it's a big day. And I'm like, I don't wanna go. And my dad explained to me what is going to happen next. He said, well, first you're gonna spend a year or two in nursery school. Then you're gonna spend a year in kindergarten. Then this is about 6 years in elementary school, 2 years in junior high school, 4 years in high school, 4 years in college. Then you'll probably go to law school or get some kind of graduate degree. Then you're gonna work, and then when you're grandpa's age, you're gonna retire. And I'm thinking, oh, grandpa is dead. He's like 1,000 years old. So it made me start thinking, I didn't think then, I only thought this much later, this is really bad. I somehow got into a bad situation that wasn't planned for. So this is what happened. So many years later, I wrote an article, how to deal with the negative people in your life. And it was, you know, there's good people in your life and you want to treat them like how they treat you. Then there's successful people in your life and you want to try very hard not to be envious. You want to be happy and sincerely happy for their efforts, and maybe you can be successful too. And there are people who need things in your life and you want to try to help them, but without letting it drain you. You know, when there's a whole, it's not a saying, it's like this weird fact that if you're like on a plane that happens to be crashing and there's a 1-year-old baby sitting next to you, forget about that baby. You put the oxygen mask on yourself first, and then you put the oxygen mask on your baby, else you both die. So that's when people need you. And then there's this fourth category, which people who are just really negative. Do you know how many people have any negative people in their lives? Just raise your hand. Okay, you have no, okay, you do. You have no negative people in your life. That's good. Congratulations. So, and then I was a very popular article, and then someone, and I was thinking like, yeah, I have some friends who are negative. I'm gonna just cut them out of my life. And this was my advice. If someone's really negative and they're constantly draining you, you basically just need to kind of engage less and less with them as a way to teach them to treat you better. And then if they can't treat you better, then you eventually become disengaged from them. And it's not your fault, it's just you can't let anyone, life is short. Like if I drop I happen to have $1 million in my pocket. So if I drop $1 million on the ground and walk away, maybe or maybe not I can make that back. It's an unknown. But if I lose a single minute of my time dealing with someone who's just constantly insulting me or making me feel bad about myself, there is no way I am ever going to get that minute back. So then people started writing me emails with only one question. Everybody had the exact same question. So I know that everybody here is experiencing the same thing. So basically, what if the negative person is a close family member? Because how many people have a close family member that is negative in your life? All right, it's not an uncommon thing. Like, we are family, I agree with that. Like, we're all cousins, nice to meet you. Sister sledge, it's all great. But sometimes it's kind of like you have to see them at Thanksgiving. No one told me that. I thought I moved out of the house. And now, you ever have that feeling you go back for Thanksgiving and it's like you're 12 years old again and your mommy's yelling at you and you feel like you're 12 and really bad about it? So a lot of people had that feeling. They were asking me this question. And, it's hard because I started thinking it's not the person down the street that is the negative person in your life. Like, if that person says, hey, Jew boy, come over here, I'll just never talk to him again. It's easy. So, so it's never the person down the street. I can avoid that guy pretty easily. But your family, they grew up with you. They know you, and they know where all of your buttons are. Like, boop, 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 boop. They know how to program you. So they know everything to do to make you feel guilty, to make you feel disappointed, to make you feel scared, like, oh my gosh, how am I going to tell my mom I got fired or I got a bad grade or whatever? So they are particularly talented at messing with your mind, and more than anybody else. So I'll tell you a story. So one time I tell this story. And I asked AJ, are you sure you want me to speak at a family event because of the story I'm about to tell you? So one time I had made some money, I sold a business, and I bought my parents a house, bought all their furniture, lent them some money. Not really lent. It's not like, 6% interest, you gotta pay me back. I gave them some money, and then everything I could possibly do wrong, I did. I lost all of my money. I went totally broke. So I was losing the house. I was losing everything. I was feeling really super depressed. And there was one point where I had at one point a really good amount of money that I could really have, used. And then I looked at my ATM machine one day and there was $143 left. And I was just so disappointed. And I had a baby at that time. I had a 3-year-old. And I thought, for some reason, the only thing thinking to me is, I'm going to run out of diapers this weekend. So, and I'm somehow not going to be able to afford some weird emergency that might happen because I only have this in my ATM machine. And so I called my parents and I said, listen, I'm going through a hard time. My house is being taken away from me Monday, but I'll have some other money on Monday. It's Friday right now. Can I just drive 100 miles to your house, pick up $300, drive back on Monday, just over the weekend, and pay you back? And they said no. And they said, we paid for your college, we paid for this, we paid for that. By the way, I paid for my college. I'm not gonna argue with them with you, but so I said, okay, fine. And I put the phone down and I hung up basically. And and then I didn't want to deal with it. I had what I thought was an emergency happening. And so then just one thing led to another. I was constantly just depressed and dealing with this emergency where I didn't know where I was going to make my next dime. I had to move far away. And 6 months later, I get a call from one of my sisters, not even my mother. And she said to me, listen, you got to come to the hospital. Your dad just had a stroke. And so after that, I had never spoken to him after I hung up, and after that, he basically died. So I didn't, that was actually definitely not a joke, but none of you laughed anyway. Sometimes I tell the story actually and people laugh. So, but and so people like my sister asked me, like, do you feel bad about that? And I didn't really feel bad. And then my mother started calling me up, and I guess I was helping her deal with all the details and everything like that. And then suddenly, I don't know what happened, she started accusing me of killing my father because of all the stress induced by me asking for money and then not talking. And so suddenly, she stopped talking to me. So I stopped talking to my parents, and then suddenly then it kind of like cascaded. Like then my sister stopped talking to me, and all these things happened one after the other. And at first I would call them up and I would say, what's going on? But they would just start yelling, like I couldn't really get through to them. And I could have kind of collapsed in misery over this because I was still having hard times in various ways. But I decided, you know what? Originally, we don't get to choose our family. But later on, we do get to choose our family. And so how should you choose your family? Well, and it's not that I don't regret what's happened. Like, I wish I had great relationships with everybody in my family. But that's just, in general, that's just not the way life happens. And I always hope I have great relationships with my daughters, and who knows? Hopefully, they're right here, so hopefully it'll be all good. But how should you choose your family? And there's a saying, you're the average of the 5 people you spend most of your time with. So think right now of the 5 to 10 people you spend most of your time with, and you're the average of them. So you want to be around good people who love you and support you and respect the things you do. And I kind of have my own metric for being a good person, so I'm a good person to be in other people's set of 5 or set of 10. And so every day I think to myself, I want to improve 1% a day on 4 different areas, like my physical health, my emotional health, so I want to be good for the people around me and supportive. I try very hard not to tell my daughters what to do, but I'm not always that good at it. My mental health, which involves writing 10 ideas a day down. So we all in our head have a muscle I call the idea muscle. And it's just like a leg muscle. If you're like lying in bed for 2 weeks watching TV and then you try to walk again, you actually need physical therapy to walk because your leg muscles have atrophied. It's the same thing with the idea muscle. You have to exercise that muscle every single day or your creativity will atrophy. So trust me, try this for the next 2 weeks. Write down just 10 ideas a day. And you know what? Write down 10 ideas that could help the other 5 people, 10 people in your sort of virtual family. Because then not only are you building your creativity, but you're building your emotional relationships with them, and you'll see how that 1% compounds. And then finally, spiritual health, which doesn't necessarily mean go and pray or go to Fort Lauderdale like we did to pay our respects. It could mean just being grateful for every moment you have. Like, I'm so grateful we could go be a virtual family, and maybe this is the family we all choose from. We see now everybody's a cousin. AJ tracked 270 million cousins. So when you choose your family, it's when you choose your 10 people that you're going to be around, they're probably your family too. So gratitude is sort of the opposite of either regret, where you're time traveling into the past, like, oh, I could have done this differently. That never solves any problem in the present. And it also avoids anxiety. So anxiety will never solve any problems in the future, but it'll only drain you of energy right now. So again, physical, emotional, mental, spiritual, I try to improve 1% a day. What does that mean, 1% a day? It doesn't mean anything. It's just something I tell myself, am I improving? Because we all feel better when we're improving. as opposed to achieving. Improving feels better. And we're all free to make our own choices. And kind of having this activity and daily practice allows us eventually to kind of choose ourselves and make our own choices in life. Who will we be around? What ideas will we work on? How will we make money? How will we be healthy? And so on. So I wanted to ask a question before I close. How many people remember the song, or the TV show, The Addams Family? Okay, you remember the initial song for it? Okay. So hold on. So it starts off, dun-dun-dun-dun, dun-dun-dun-dun. Okay. So we're gonna do it. I just want to remember what the first couple of words were. I have a bad memory. Too many drugs or something. So I want you to snap your fingers with me, and then we're all gonna sing it. So, da-da-da-da, da-da-da-da. We're creepy and we're kooky, mysterious and spooky. We're all together, ooky, the Addams Family. All right. Thank you very much.